flip this. Whoa, what up guys, how y'all doing? First time trying this little thing with a wireless mic setup, so hopefully you guys can hear me pretty good. Camera looks pretty sick on there. All right, today we're gonna be talking about social media and how it has ruined the car scene, or at least my perspective on how I see cars now. So one thing that's been on my mind lately is just how a car can be very photogenic in pictures, and when you see the car in person, it's a completely different car. And I'm not here to bash on anyone or talk crap, because that's not what we're here for. I'm gonna go ahead and use my Mitsubishi Eclipse as an example. That car, if you see it in pictures, for some reason it's really photogenic. It looks really good, and you see the car online, you're like, wow, it looks really good, right? But when you see the car in person, it's not like a 10 out of 10 anymore. It's like a 6.5, 7, right? And I've come to realize, and I've seen that with a lot of people, and just, I mean, myself in general, with the cars, right? So I posted this picture of this RSX yesterday because it just got the wrap on the rear bumper done, and then I'm looking at the car, and the car is not perfect, guys. Like, it has a lot of defects. The RSX to me is probably like the hoopty of, you know, the collection, I guess you can call it. And one thing I've realized is I've been very hard on myself as far as like my expectations on how clean a car should be. And I think a lot of that comes from social media, with, you know, just the fact that we're comparing ourselves to the other guy with an Eclipse, or the other guy with an RSX, or the other guy with a Ferrari. I've been modifying the RSX. It's been coming along pretty damn good, you know. And at the end of the day, I'm just not happy with the car. I don't feel as excited as I used to when I first had my Eclipse. And you know, back in the day, I had my Eclipse. It was not perfect. It was, you know, stock. I was modifying it with what I could, based off, you know, the part-time job that I had at the time. But I was a lot happier, and I think that's because I wasn't really too involved with like the whole social media consumption or just posting in general. Instagram came out, I think, in 2012, and I remember making the account. Oh, wrong gear. So I made an Instagram right when it came out, and the first picture I posted was of the Eclipse, right? And it was really cool back in the day because it was still very small. Like, you know, like we had a very small, you know, us DSM guys, like it was like the DSM gram page that would post everybody, and, you know, you knew basically everyone in the scene through Instagram, which I thought that was dope. But what I see now, what I really see now is, you know, a lot of people that are getting, for example, new Eclipses, they go on my page or they send me a DM and they're like, dude, hopefully I get my car to, you know, your standard one day. And I'm looking at my car, like I turn around and look at my car, and I'm like, you know, my car's not even all that. Like, it's not even, and I think I lack to give myself credit, because at the end of the day, I've had the car for a very long time, and I have gone above and beyond to try and modify it to the best of my ability. But it's rough, man. Well, this guy almost merged into me. All right. And I don't know how to properly explain it, because at the end of the day, I know we all go through it. I know you guys think the same thing. I'm sure you look at people's cars online, and then you've seen that car in person. I'm like, it doesn't look that clean. Using my cars, for example, right? I've also come to realize that I think you should hold yourself to a high standard as far as how you do things and how you modify cars. But at the end of the day, you only have what you have, right? And you got to work with what you got. There's going to be, you know, the older gentlemen that have, you know, that have been in the scene for, you know, 20 plus years, versus the high school kid or college kid that is working part-time and is trying his best to modify his car, right? So when you put that kid and he's going on social media, he's going on Instagram, he's going on TikTok, and he sees this other guy's car, or he's, for example, you see my Eclipse and you're like, whoa, it's Evo swapped, it has all these parts, you know. But I've been having this car for such a long time, and at the end of the day, you know, I was just like you. I'm basically just an older version of you as far as, you know, you modify your Eclipse. So all my DSM guys out here, especially, I always, you know, get messages about you guys like, oh, I just got an Eclipse, I'm new to the scene, it's my first car, which I think is great. But at the end of the day, don't compare yourself to what you see online. Don't compare yourself to the other, you know, cool Mitsubishi builds that you see on Instagram, because when you don't know their financial situation, you don't know how long they've been in the game or how long they've been doing this. And at the end of the day, you don't know their priorities, right? Like, for example, I don't have kids, but the guy next to me that has an Eclipse as well, he might have 3 kids, and he has to put, you know, that extra $1,000 into them instead of the car. So I also understand that. So at the end of the day, it was really bugging me, because I had a fellow, honestly, buddy of mine, and he nitpicked the RSX right in front of me, like, no fucks given, which, you know, I understand. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. But then, like, I really thought about it. I was like, why am I letting this bother me when realistically he's not going to pay for my paint job, or he's not going to pay for me to fix it. His opinion is invalid. As long as I'm happy with the car, that's all that should really matter, right? And I think this is why I'm making this video, because that was one, it was like a comment that just, it really got under my skin. I'm like, wow, it's something rare that happens, but it happened. And at the end of the day, I think you should go into, you know, building your car. I think honestly, the guys that build their cars off social media or don't post anything, props to you, because obviously it's a really cool experience to share your progress and interact with other fellow people in the same, you know, the same platform. But at the same time, once you start building it for the Instagram clout or the followers, it's not going to get you anywhere. I'm a huge advocate on that, because I think some people will believe, you know, that I'm doing it for that, or I'm building my cars for that. I've gotten in the habit over the last couple of years to just build my cars and share my progress at all times, especially through YouTube, which I absolutely love. Honestly, it's probably one of my favorite things to do. Honestly, it's what gets me up every morning, super excited to live life and to think about the next modification. And I don't know if I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life, honestly, guys, but you know, I'm still kind of young, and I want to do this now that I have the time, right, before I'm settled down with a family or anything like that, and just share my progress with you guys and hopefully motivate you guys and tell you guys that it's okay not to have the best car. Dude, the Miguel back in the day that, you know, had a decent whatever Eclipse, I was still going to car meets, but I was actually excited and happy to show off my car and not worried about the big ass dent on my door, bro. Nowadays, when I feel like I post it on social media, I'm like, half the people are going to be like, oh, the door's messed up. And you really can't you can't really think like that, bro. And I say that just because I've gone through it. At the end of the day, I always do say you shouldn't care what people think. But I could understand how every once in a while it kind of gets in your head, right? So you have to learn to divert yourself from that situation, and that goes beyond cars. I'm just using cars as an example. But I truly do believe that social media did this to us, as far as just comparing ourselves and stuff like that. So I don't really see anyone talk about it. Honestly, I wish I had someone in the car with me where we could have a proper conversation, kind of like a podcast. I wish I want to start another podcast up. Honestly, I had one. Everyone has different life situations, bro. Don't compare yourself to others, and don't let social media fool you, because at the end of the day, a lot of this stuff is fake, bro. Realistically, I'm being honest with you guys. I see it firsthand. I see what people, maybe myself, you see my cars, whatever, they're not what they look like online, and you should be able to kind of, you know, separate yourself from social media in that regard, and just be able to understand that, you know, the reality of the world is way different to what you see or what you perceive online for people, right? So I don't know, man, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't.